So you want to survive and win in F-Zero 99, huh? Let's get you up to speed with these 9 fast tips. Tip number 1. Don't screw up the boost start. Because if you hit the gas too early, although you will immediately jump off the starting line, you'll also burn your engine out right after. Instead, hold off on pressing gas until just before go appears. Yeah, you might leave the starting line just a bit slower, but you'll make up for it soon enough, as you'll otherwise accelerate much quicker. Tip number 2. Release gas around corners. No, not that gas. Look, I know this is a high-speed racing game, the last thing you want to do is let go of gas, but it's actually super important to know when to do so in this game. And that's just about whenever you're taking any tight corner, as it'll allow you to cut through it much sharper, especially if you lean to the shoulder buttons at the same time. Tip number 3. Avoid becoming a pinball. If you find yourself losing traction or ping-ponging between walls, just tap the gas button to immediately regain traction and set yourself straight. Tip number 4. Don't go boost crazy. Trust me, I love boosting as much as anyone, but it's a surefire way to end up in Death Valley if you're not careful. Because boosting uses energy, and when you're out of energy, touching just about anything will cause you to explode. So it's almost always worth keeping about boost's worth of energy on standby instead of burning through it all just to go a bit faster. Tip number 5. Use jumps to avoid hazards, other racers, or even cut some corners. Just don't forget to hold down as you land to soften your landing and avoid losing speed. And even better, every time you take a jump, your spin attack's cooldown immediately resets, allowing you to immediately spin again. So don't forget. Speaking of which, tip number 6. Spin to protect yourself. Because spinning makes you invincible, at least to other racers. Which means it's also essential for survival, especially with 98 other opponents trying to take you out. So try using it when passing through a pack of racers to avoid taking damage, or when being approached by another vehicle that might try to take you out. And even though it won't prevent you from taking damage if you hit one of those annoying red cars that explode on impact, it will allow you to maintain control without being stunned. Tip number 7. Go for takedowns. Taking down opponents doesn't just feel good, but it can also increase the size of your boost meter. So keep an eye out for any smoking opponents or blinking gray cars. Yeah, they can be destroyed too, as that means they're low on energy and super vulnerable to being taken down. Even better, your enlarged power meter carries over between races in the Grand Prix or Mini Prix, so try to get as early as you can. Tip number 8. Ram into the gold cars. Trust us, ramming into the gold cars is a very good thing, as it'll net you a ton of super sparks and get you onto the Skyway in no time. Speaking of which, tip number 9. Use the Skyway strategically. Okay, so there's almost never a bad time to use a Skyway, as it'll always get you away from hazards and give you a nice speed boost along the way. But that doesn't mean you can't make better use of it. So instead of using it right away, it's often better to save it for tricky areas, like to avoid a series of tight turns or dodge heavy traffic, as both of those can either save you a lot of time or energy. If you're not quite sure when best to use it, try to avoid using on straightaways or areas with gentle curves, as you'll get less benefit out of it there. So there you have it, 9 ways to help you win at F-Zero 99. Now get out there and do us proud.